from News Channel 8 in Tampa, Florida, this is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now. Powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers look to begin their playoff run in the same fashion as their start to the regular season with a dominant win against the Dallas Cowboys, except this time it's the postseason, and this time it's at home at Raymond James Stadium. We're live on Bucs Bonus, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY, to break it all down ahead of Super Wild Card Weekend. Man, I'm pumped. I know Dan, Lucas, Karen, Loftus, our two Bucs insiders, are pumped as well. Welcome to Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
Week one rewind.
Oh, it's the week one game.
Wouldn't this be nice?
Yes.
A repeat of this.
Get to Vegas.
We normally begin these episodes by looking back at the last week, but no one wants to talk about Atlanta. Does anybody care about Atlanta? No one.
No.
Karen, do you?
I care about whatever you want to talk about, JB.
Wow.
So we're
politically perfect.
We're going to go back in time, okay? We're going to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles an hour, and it is 88, right? 88 miles an hour.
It is. Don't ask Karen about movies.
Okay. We're going
way over my head.
I actually toured that back lot, by the way, at out in Burbank, and that clock is there on the tower.
Oh, yeah.
It's also in the old TV show Dukes of Hazzard, and in several other TV shows from the 80s, early 90s era. So, man, I love that clock tower.
Next season on Bucs Bonus, we need a Dan's random factoid of the day, or Karen's
I'm
random cooking factoid of the day.
I am full of nothingness. Full of nothingness.
Your week one rewind, we take you back to the start. Man, remember how optimistic we all were after week one? The Buccaneers going to cruise to an NFC South title. I mean, my goodness, the times were different. As we look here at your week one rewind, the Buccaneers defeating the Cowboys 19-3 in their season opener on the road in Jerry's house. Tom Brady, a very pedestrian 18 for 27, 212 yards, threw a touchdown, threw a pick as well. Lenny had a very
big
solid,
night.
really big opening to the regular season for him. We're going to get more into what the Buccaneers need to do to repeat this success on Monday night. However, what's your go back in time for me, both of you. What was your big takeaway from this game as far as how the Buccaneers and the Cowboys stacked up in week one?
I was ecstatic about the Bucs defense after that opening night game because the Cowboys kicked a field goal on their first drive and did nothing the rest of the game. It was 3 and outs. It was punts. They had an interception, a turnover on downs. It was as dominating a performance probably all season long for the Bucs defense. And if you remember the takeaway, you had the great Mike Evans catch for the touchdown because it wasn't the best night offensively for the Bucs, but you saw we hung our hats on Leonard Fournette. He had 127 yards rushing, and you thought to yourself, wow, how about this Bucs defense? Mm-hmm. Whoa, Leonard Fournette, there's the run game we haven't had here in a while. And, man, wait till the rest of the offense catches up. This is going to be something.
Yeah, so I remember the offensive moments, like the catches. Like I remember right out of the gates going to Chris Godwin, his first game back from injury. Everybody was like so juiced up that he was actually playing in the opener so quickly after his ACL injury. Obviously, he unfortunately hurt his hamstring in that game, but that first catch that sort of like reassured everybody that the knee was okay. Julio Jones's catch, which was just
that he also was injured on, right?
He was also injured.
Yeah.
So it's like the ups and downs of these positive catches, and then like you said, the Evans touchdown catch.
Until his performance against Carolina a couple of weeks ago, that was his moment. That one-handed catch in the end zone. A little shout out to Bob Hansen, our WFLA sports videographer, has, in my opinion, the best shot of that play.
He shot it so well.
Yeah, Tom Brady was actually throwing it to Bob, and Mike Evans got up, got his hand up just in the nick of time, and it was a touchdown. Had he not gotten his hand up, it would have been in Bob's lens.
I can't believe it's taken us this long to get that truth out. He was actually throwing it to Bob.
It's the legend of that play, to be honest. I don't think
legend.
Brady would ever admit to it, but that's the thing between Bob and Mike Evans.
Take the target off the stat sheet. It wasn't meant for Mike Evans. As we look here at some of the other stats, I'll be honest, the big takeaway for me in the aftermath of week one was just every Dallas Cowboy fan
Yeah.
just losing their minds over the Dak injury, and that was really the dominant headline after. It was
People wanted Mike McCarthy fired after week 1.
and then Cooper Rush. What was Cooper Rush going to do? And then all of a sudden,
he won 4 games in a row after that.
Cooper Rush was the savior of the season. Are the Cowboys in this position without that stretch from Cooper Rush?
Probably not, because their division was so tough.
It was.
As opposed to the NFC South. The Cowboys finished second in the division with 12 wins.
12 wins.
And went into their final game with a chance to seize the top seed in the entire NFC. It would have been flip-flopped had they won that game, and the Eagles would be here as the 4th seed.
Yeah.
So the NFC East was a monster, and the Cowboys were right in it. It was a very competitive division, and the Cowboys had a heck of a season. I'm looking at the numbers, JB. CeeDee Lamb, 2 catches, 39 yards.
Whoa.
You know, he played in all 17 games. But it was their best receiver at 1,300 yards, a little over that. So he's a force to be reckoned with for sure. If you say who improved the most or who's made the biggest difference for the Cowboys side, Lamb had a heck of a year.
Not to mention also, too, right behind CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard.
Oh, yeah,
who is
over
now
1,000 yards.
The 1-2 punch with Ezekiel Elliott. Kind of similar in a respect to the Buccaneers with their running dynamic right now. You have the stable-ish veteran with Ezekiel Elliott or Lenny Fournette, and then you have the upstarts in Rashad White and Tony Pollard. So it'll be interesting. We'll get more into what this playoff matchup is going to look like between the Cowboys and the Bucs at home at Raymond James Stadium. But first, we have a caller on the line. And
right out
he
of
is
the gates. Let's
so
do it.
excited.
Who's this guy
He's
gonna pick?
So excited to join Bucs Bonus. It's not his first time, but it's his first time talking playoffs here on Bucs Bonus.
Hello, JB. This is Buckified Bert.
Gathering
Thanks
his
for
thoughts.
giving me a chance to talk to you today because I was right. The Buccaneers, I did all the talking, and the Buccaneers did all of the walking.
Wow.
They went all the way through preseason and regular season, and now we're all in the playoff. The road to the Super Bowl start on Dale Mabry and MLK. It just so happened to be Martin Luther King Day weekend. Guess what? I have a dream, and my dream is that the Buccaneers will beat the Dallas Cowboys Monday this week. And the road to the Super Bowl start on Dale Mabry Corner, and I promise you, the Buccaneers going to get the first victory this Monday and take it all away.
Has anyone,
heard it there.
has anyone
And
ever
the
thought
smile. Look at the smile.
maybe we should park Buckified Bert by the visitors' tunnel, just so they while the players walk by. It's enough that if I'm a visiting player and I walk by, it's enough to make me pause and go, wait, what? And then the Cowboys aren't thinking about the game.
He has such enthusiastic things to say, too. Like, he never has bad things to say. It's always positive. It's always, like, pro-Bucs. It's never, I
get
appreciate
Buckified
that.
Bert's prediction for the season every year.
Yep.
And, how he thinks they're going to end up. And I can tell you this. He got it right in 2002 and 2020. He nailed it.
He did.
Super Bowl.
Wow.
He said it was a Super Bowl. I won't tell you what he predicted the other years. I just know he predicted the 2 Super Bowl years. Is there ever a year he doesn't predict? See, Jeff Baradelli gets it. See, if Buckified Bert were correct, the Bucs would have 24 Super Bowls right now.
That's.
Yeah, in the last 23 years. And like 2 losses, by the way.
I love the I have a dream drop there. Buckified comes prepared for these phone-in segments.
does.
We just love him here.
He's a
at
man of
WFLA.
content, yes.
He is. And he's always got the swag, the light-up ship hat on his head. As we look here at your Super Wild Card Weekend preview, the matchup between the Dallas Cowboys at 12-5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the NFC South at a record of 8-9. This is your Monday night Super Wild Card Weekend matchup. Monday Night Football. Is it technically Monday Night Football?
It is. It's Monday Night
It
Football.
is.
All the bells
Yep.
and whistles. Yep.
Yep. TV on ABC/ESPN. Let's get right into your key storylines. Attacking Dak. Can the Bucs defense return to that dominant performance that they had in week 1? Health is really a key part of this question. So are the Buccaneers at a healthy point now in the season, really the postseason, to where they can repeat that performance? Look, to expect the Buccaneers defense to hold the Cowboys without a touchdown, that's a tall order, given, of course, all the weapons that there is on that Dallas sideline. But can it be similar to what we saw in Week 1, Karen?
Yeah, I think this is the healthiest they've been, and this is what the team has been talking about, is that they feel very good about where they are health-wise, getting a lot of guys back in the secondary, which is crucial. If Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks are both in, we've talked about how crucial they are. I mean, they were both playing in Week 1, and that's what, everybody was talking about the success that they had early, and that's when everybody was healthy. It's like you got to see glimpses of what they could do when people have been healthy, but then along the line, people have dropped off at nearly every position. They've had injuries along the way. So I think that they are getting healthy, and I think that's very important for them.
Health and confidence play hand in hand, right, Dan?
I agree, and that opening night game, I hated to see Dak Prescott go down, by the way, because you want to see the stars, and that was game 1 of the season, like you said earlier. From the Cowboys' perspective, it was just doom and gloom after that night for sure. But if you go to the opening night game 2 seasons ago, Prescott was pretty good, and the Cowboys' passing game was good. However, I think this is Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Those are the targets, and not just stopping the run. It's that little passing screen game that they always say is part of the run. Mm-hmm. That's the target for the Bucs. That's the target. I say CeeDee Lamb. I feel like he'll get his, but they have got to contain the Cowboys' run, and that includes Prescott being mobile.
Absolutely.
That's the target. And that's the key.
Are you saying that, it's interesting that you point out the screen game is your line of thought there, is your line of thinking there that you're getting away from Vita Vea potentially in the middle, because the Buccaneers have had, when they're on, they're stopping the run. So is it about trying to get, to the, outside the tackle, so to speak? Yeah,
keep the lanes, shut down. They're not going to run up the middle on the Bucs. We figured that much out.
Right.
It's, to me, this becomes an Antoine Winfield game. I just have a feeling this is going to be an Antoine Winfield game.
What isn't an Antoine Winfield game?
Well, I just feel if the Cowboys are starting to throw over the defensive line, that you're getting into Devin White and Antoine Winfield territory. If they're going to take time and look down the field a little bit, you're still looking at Antoine Winfield being in lanes and being active in the passing game. I just have a feeling Antoine Winfield might be the key to this entire defense.
He had the pick in one.
Yeah, and fun fact, so he's actually coming off a game. Granted, he played the entire Falcons game.
Did he? but not by choice.
Nope, because they ran out of bodies.
Yes.
But we digress. He had finished with 13 tackles, which I sold him short in the post-game interview because he was like, oh, how many tackles did I have? Because I thought it was a season high. The last I checked was 11.
Right.
But from the time I left the press box to the time the game ended, he had 2 more.
So
I was like, I think you have 11. But turns out he had 13. That's a career best for him.
Wow.
So he just continues to find ways to get things done. And I was talking to some of the defensive backs. I didn't see Antoine in the locker room today, but I was talking to some of the other defensive backs today just about getting turnovers and how much everything is just amplified in the playoffs. And especially when you're looking at turnovers, it's like they carry so much more weight, or at least they feel like it in the playoffs. And they're just so ready to go and get turnovers and get the offense the ball back was sort of the emphasis.
Speaking of offense, we go to our next key storyline: air shipping, ground shipping. What will the Buccaneers offense look like, and how committed to the run will they be? If you're Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles, Tom Brady, and you're looking at how to best exploit this Cowboys defense, Micah Parsons is a name we haven't brought up yet on this particular episode, but he is just absolutely dynamite as far as being the star of that Cowboys defense. How do you minimize his impact on the game overall? Is it possible to limit him? And are you throwing the ball? Are you running the ball? Dan Lucas, put on your offensive coordinator hat. What are you doing?
Well, in the first game, Micah Parsons was doing as he wished, and the Bucs had to really dedicate the running back position to chipping him the rest of the night, and he still had 2 sacks in that game, 13.5 for the year. So he's Micah Parsons, who, by the way, I get the NFLPA just released its All-Pro team for the first time ever that's voted on by players. Micah Parsons was not on it, and a lot of people were stunned about it. Even Micah Parsons, who tweeted, "What kind of list is this? Doesn't matter. I'm in playoff mode." So I know he was affected by that. So he's coming to this game pretty motivated. Yeah, he's definitely still a concern, and that's where it's time for, in my opinion, the tempo of the Bucs offense. And what a lot of fans will say, why don't we play more fast tempo? And Byron Leftwich says we do. You just don't recognize it. Well, I think this needs to be high speed tempo as long as you can to keep those guys off balance, and maybe that opens up running lanes and you can switch that up later. If you're high tempo and you're successful with all your guys healthy, as they will be for this game, Evans, Godwin, Julio Jones, yes, I believe. So, and down the line, Russell Gage, they're going to move the football. They're going to get to the red zone, and then it's up to them to finish the drives. At that point, now you're looking at Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette running the ball if you have a lead to work with.
Yeah, and Tristan was saying today in the locker room, as far as like the front four, he's like, those guys, we gotta be playing our best against the Cowboys front four. And I even talked to Keeft, and I said, you guys are going to be involved in the tight ends room. Like, it's going to be group effort to just keep Brady upright, give him as much time as possible, to let him just go to work. So they're very mindful of that. Yeah,
the challenge is the Cowboys move Micah Parsons around so much that it's funny you mentioned Keeft. You almost need a spy, for lack of a better term, for Micah Parsons to at least get lined up on the correct side of the ball to have you a chance to team up with your tackles if he's trying to come in on the outside.
Seemed ready.
Yes, exactly.
Seemed very ready, even though he's a rookie. So I wanted to talk to a couple of the rookies today. First NFL playoff game. Talked to him and Rachaad, and they both seemed super ready.
Yeah, in a chill way or an amped way?
Co is very chill.
Okay,
like he's super like low key. Just that's how he is though. Yeah. So it wasn't any different from his normal demeanor. And Rachaad was like just happy. He's another like one of the just like happy guys.
Yeah,
and he was pretty excited. He was just like, I don't need to do too much. You know, I'm just excited to be here. You know, the guys say we're ready and we're gonna do this.
Rachaad White's already had a great life story in football, and to come here as an NFL rookie and be in this position for him, maybe 2-3 years ago, I'm not sure he thought it was possible. And he's got to be just tickled to death. And now, when you get on the field, because of those emotions, now you steer that in the right direction. You get those good butterflies. I think it would be great to see him have a big performance.
Yeah, and and the other thing that I was asking Co about is that, you know, you played 17 NFL games, and guys like him and Rachaad have played a lot, you know, and he said, Tom Brady tells us, you know, you guys can't say that you're rookies really anymore. You've played 17 games and a lot of reps. So they're ready.
I like this secret sauce that we've got going on right now. Not to make another cooking pun. We did enough of that last week. But that Keeft might be a really big part of the offense. And you might see a lot of Rachaad White to kind of complement Lenny in certain spots, depending on, but let me get back to the original question, just how committed to the run will the Bucs be? Do you expect it to be a balanced attack? Dan, basically what I'm hearing from you, Dan, is that you just expect it to be higher tempo regardless of pass or run.
Well, you know, I think, as Todd Bowles said the other day, and these are elimination games, it doesn't matter what it takes.
Right.
If they pick up 10 fumbles and run them back for touchdowns and they don't score anything on offense, who cares?
Yes.
But the problem is, in an elimination game like this, all playoff games for football, you're only going to get the football so many times in your possessions. 8 usually the average, maybe sometimes less. So anytime you get a 3 and out, that's a possession gone. And then you get the ball back and you have to punt again. Well, that's another possession gone. And now you get to the point in game, you're matching scores. Well, if you don't have the football, you can't match scores. And if you're chasing the game, you're certainly not running. You're throwing, and that's how playoff games get out of hand. Playoff games, for the most part, always come down to a possession. You're either trying to score or trying to prevent the score.
Yeah, that's literally what Will Golston said today.
That's why it's so. That's why it's so exciting for fans and just so gut-wrenching for when you have a vested interest in the game, because if you go up 14-0, you can't get comfortable in the seats or at home watching.
Yeah, you can be comfortable if you're 14-0 with 10 seconds left.
Right. I mean, you know what's coming in this game, and so this is what makes it so great. But ultimately, JB, I do want them to be balanced. I just think they need to. I just think they need a fast start. I think they need points early and often.
Right.
And to do that, in my opinion, it's throwing, it's going fast down the field.
Let's move on to our final key storyline, and it's one that we talked a little bit about last week on this program, but it is the elephant in the room. The elephant is the GOAT. We're going to play on the animal theme here. The elephant in the room is whether or not Tom Brady's final game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be his next one, which, of course, now that we are in the playoffs, every game, win or go home. And so this is a massive storyline going forward. I want to open this conversation this week by asking the two of you, being our Bucs insiders, being in the locker room, being able to be around the team and get a feel for what's going on in the locker room. Is the feeling in the locker room at all? I know that everyone's focused on the game. I get that. But that this is it for Tom Brady and the Bucs, that this is it for Tom Brady and his career. What is the general sense just overall with the Bucs right now as to whether or not this is Tom Brady's farewell for the Tampa Bay area?
I don't think so.
You were there with Mike Evans yesterday,
Yeah.
who commented on it. He said, no matter what, I've enjoyed my time. I don't think he's looking beyond this game.
No.
Evans,
I don't think anybody is.
he wants to maximize his opportunity in his own way that he knows comes from Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure it's on everyone's minds long term, and I don't think that he's given an indication to his teammates which way he's going. I think he plays football next year, and I don't think the Bucs are out of the running, as everyone seems to think they
Right.
are.
Yeah,
However,
I agree with that. Yeah.
However, there's a lot that goes along with it because Brady knows that the sunset's coming, and I think he wants to win Super Bowls if he can. He's not just going to go anywhere to a situation. I know he's been linked to the Raiders. I give the Bucs better odds of the Super Bowl next year than the Raiders. I mean, why would you go into a situation that's almost a rebuild? Now, the Bucs are going to have some awkward exits after this season, and that could impact his decision to come back and play next year. But that's on Jason Light, the GM. That's where they are in the salary cap crunch. And Brady would play a role in the salary cap as well if he decides to come back. So there's a lot of factors.
Isn't that exactly perhaps the reason for the exit? Is the salary? Has this salary cap window that the Buccaneers have enjoyed by being able to fit so much talent underneath that ceiling? Is that chapter now coming to an end? Has Tom Brady looked at this roster and said, look, I don't think that we're going to be able to bring back as much talent next year, and maybe that's why he would entertain going to a team like the Raiders, Karen? I think
when you're talking about all the factors into why he would stay or why he would go if he continues to play football, are all of those things. Like, you want to be set up for success, and the people around you are part of that. Coaches, players, who's going to be back. So, yes, all of that is. But I'm not ready to move on past the mentality of people in the locker room. I don't think anybody is saying this is going to be Brady's final game, because then the player's mentality, you're conceding that you're already losing. Nobody in the locker room is thinking this is their last game. Nobody. Like, they're like, we're winning. Because if you're saying, man, I better cherish this, this could be Brady's, then you're bringing a losing mindset. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right, yep.
So, like, I don't think anybody in the locker room is saying, man, I better cherish this. This might be my last game with Tom Brady.
But you are
because
both,
that means you're ending your, like.
Yeah.
But you're both in agreement you see him playing football next season.
Yeah.
I do, yes.
What if he wins the Super Bowl?
No way. Done.
That's it. So you
well, that's what I said last week. Yeah.
Right.
I was like, if that's the asterisk, if you will, if you're talking about, I think that if he wins the Super Bowl with the Bucs, I think it's a tougher decision.
Right.
And I see him more so leaning 70-30, leaning towards retiring. Gosh, maybe even more than that, 80-20.
The Super Bowl would make him, would fit into his life big picture a little bit easier. I mean, we all know what he's gone through in the past several months. Massive life change. And he hasn't really had time to sit and process that and see what he's going to be like moving forward as a dad, where he wants to live. He's got the Fox gig lined up, so he has work in the fall, but not that he needs work, by the way. But
right.
He's got a lot of things on his plate moving forward in his life that football will fit in there somehow, but it's going to be lesser of a role each time. Each year, it's getting lesser and lesser, And he's confronted with a lot this offseason. So that's going to play into his football decision as well. But if he wins the Super Bowl, definitely I think he's out.
All right. We only have another minute or two here on Bucs Bonus on this week's pre-playoff edition, the episode, of course, that bridges the regular season to the playoffs. And we end out here with, one more time, our injury watch. Our injury spotlight is all eyes on the Bucs offensive line and right on the middle of it with whether or not Ryan Jensen is going to be able to give it a go against the Dallas Cowboys. I'll give you guys just a minute here because we're running out of time. Does Ryan Jensen go on Monday night?
I say no, unfortunately. I wish. And I hope I'm wrong, by the way. But I'm watching Robert Hainsey this week.
Yeah.
Because he injured his hamstring last week.
Mm-hmm.
He's played all season, and I don't think he's been a liability at all at center. They've had their issues at left guard. They get that figured out. Yeah, I think if Hainsey's in there, the Bucs are fine. The thing about Jensen I worry about is absolutely no reps in a game, and you're going to go out and you're going to play in an elimination playoff game. I love Ryan Jensen. I mean, it's just seeing the hair and everything will take the field.
The attitude.
It's another thing when you get through a series and two series, and what happens if it's not working out, and you got Hainsey dressed. What does he do? It affects your inactives down the depth chart.
Yeah.
Not that Hainsey would not dress if Jensen played.
Right,
but
they just shuffle him
there's
around.
a player that may not be on special teams that night because you got Hainsey and Jensen dressed for the game.
I can't commit to. I don't know. I'm very much on the fence on whether he plays. I don't know. They have till Wednesday to.
I believe so.
To activate him, and if they don't, then he's out for the season.
Correct.
They got to put him back.
You'll have to keep it to WFLA.com, the WFLA app. The moment that we get status updates, injury updates on the entirety of the Bucs roster with Ryan Jensen and the rest of our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you'll know about it first on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. And, of course, keep it locked to WFLA News Channel 8, your official Bucs station for Bucs insiders Dan Lucas, Karen Loftus, all of their reporting on everything that goes on before, during, and after Bucs Cowboys on Monday Night Football kickoff 8:15 Eastern. I'd like to thank Karen and Dan for joining us on Bucs Bonus. A great regular season. We hope it's a lengthy playoff run for the Bucs, and all of their reporting can be found on WFLA News Channel 8 and WFLA.com. As always, we'll end out our episode by saying, Go Bucs.